Hello and welcome back to the Calrissian Cup. Hello, gentlemen. How are you doing today?
Pretty good. Like
Yeah, not
watching that
half
first
bad.
series of games, that big old bonk on Foster was pretty funny to watch. So and brought some life into me.
It was. It was. I think all of us were like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! What's whoa? He's
Just-
still going. He's still
Yeah.
going." Boom.
Just slip the clutch just a little bit, just slam straight into
Just full send right into that meteor.
So, what did you guys think about that last match? We got a huge showing from Rando.
Oh, strong. I mean, all the series was strong, right? They went in, they had good fundamentals, and they were able to 3-0 the whole entire series. So, not much to complain about there.
No, I think that actually touches on the strongest part of the play we saw, right? Is those good fundamentals, right? If we want to call it that. They executed on the plan that they had to almost perfection in a lot of ways, maybe other than slamming into an asteroid. But I think that's the strength they're really going to bring to the table, right? That they've got that flex between Jester is still in that interceptor role on the team, and that gives so many, like everybody else, just a little bit of extra breathing room, and that makes all of the difference.
Oh yeah, able
Definitely.
to shut down and map control by far. Even if the interceptor class ships have seen a little bit of a leeway in the meta, the role still remains, right?
Yeah, it's definitely a
100%.
good spot. It's been interesting. There it is again. To see the rise and fall of the A-wing with squadrons. We've seen it. It was, I know, right?
Yeah, big sad.
It was
big
such
sad.
a strong part of Squadron's lore, the meta, everything. And
It's
then
cool
as the
and fast
updates
and
hit
speedy, right? Like,
yeah,
I mean, I still have my T-shirt. I still printed my A-wing outfit to play, like opening day of the game, right? Like, I'm a little sad, but hey, it is what it is. The competitive esports scene in pretty much every game, right? Esports finds a way they always find the best way to get something done, and it just so happens the A-wing, that's just not the best way to get things done.
exactly.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
nope, we
And the
entered
metas
the
are
land of
constantly
control
changing.
bombers.
Yep.
Yeah.
Back.
We
It
did at
started
least
that way.
leave oops all bombers, right? Like we did at least get out of that mess.
Yep. We got out of it for a little bit, and we're back in full swing. Still, no B-wings, no wing in the B-wings.
No wing of the boy wings. No, I think that's fair. I do say at the very least it landed in a pretty decent spot. Given some of the trials and tribulations that we had early on, we were absolutely right. I do remember days where it was oops all A-wings, oops all TIE defenders, oops all TIE bombers, but we now are in this good mix of, hey, there's at least 3, sometimes 4, sometimes even 5 different classes of ships on the table. Sometimes, not all the time, but
Sometimes.
but when you see it, it's always nice. It's nice.
Yeah. What are you guys expecting to see? So the next match, we're going up against Imperial Guard and Splinter Squadron. We're seeing a return to the highlighted fan favorite and just destruction on the space battlefield. What are you expecting to see as we go in here?
Is going to happen, I think. Right, that's the big question because Splinter, a big, strong team, won many major and TST countless things. They haven't. I mean, they've been back on to warm up back for this major, but they've been taking a bit of a break recently. And I know IG has been playing quite a bit consistently throughout the past month or so. So the question is, for me, is Splinter back up to full speed, or has IG been able to fill in the gaps from Splinter not being as active to be able to close out and squeak out these games?
Yeah.
That is a
We're
good
gonna
question,
see-
right? Imperial Guard, of course, did go 5-0 in their bracket yesterday. Splinter Squadron did, in fact, drop one game. So they came out. They did come out top in their bracket, of course, but they did go 6-1 compared to the rest of the top seeds that we've got here today.
Yeah.
So perhaps a gap in that armor that perhaps IG can exploit here.
We're going to see, can you leave squadrons for some time and get back into it and stay as skilled as you were before? I mean, with being the #1 squadrons player, really, Splinter Squadron and the whole team there, they have a lot of scrutiny on them. They have a lot of pressure riding on them. They do have their spot in the finals for the Calrissian Cup, but they're starting to get back into the scene and get warmed back up. Will we see them rise to the top, or will we see them fall?
Yeah, and I mean, no dock on IG. IG getting 3rd place in TST, a regular higher up. So
Definitely,
yeah. So it'll be a question of, are they able to keep their throne, right? That they have made.
No, I think it's a great question. It is. I mean, I don't know. It is one of those things where you still have an all-star break, in baseball, if you will, and it is interesting to see. Dang it, I almost made it all the way through. To see how teams will change, even in like professional sports, right? Between when you've got those big breaks in play, right? What they're able to fine tune, what skills maybe they focus on in that sort of that break period. Even here on the Calrissian Cup, we had a little bit of a lull in the summer there. Some nice, spend some summer vacation time and whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
It's okay. So now you're back for the end summer into the fall season that we've got. Can you? What changes are you going to make? Can you bring to the table? Is it really just a bunch of, hey, I need to practice on execution all the time, every single day, or I lose some of that skill? So we'll see.
Well, we're going to find out shortly. I'm going to hop off, and Little Hammer and R1 are going to guide you through this intense match as we continue the Calrissian Cup.
Yeah, excited to see how these teams play. Looking at the team comp right here on Splinter, Fenkar, Jareen, Nop, No Bear, and Reflex. Because we're gonna have a bit of a mix-up in rotations today, as the roster for both teams extends up to the full 7. So we will not see our standard, what we've seen in Splinter before, an actual little bit of a team change. And on IG, once everything loads on my end, I can tell you what their team comp is going to be in this first round as well.
So hang on. I mean, this is relatively significant news, right? To see, okay, well, we don't have Scalp in the game here. They are choosing, at least for round 1, to put together the team of Dream, Not, No Bear, Reflex, and Fenkar.
Yeah.
And no, of course, no TIE Interceptor, no TIE Fighter to be found. We will see. And then, of course, on IG side of things, we've got Dynasty, Minor 7th. Looks like possibly a Hod there. There we go. Nara, Hod, and a Kriegzilla.
Yeah, looking at these loadouts, 3 TIE bombers on Splinter with Reflex, Fenkar, and No Bear rocking the bomber. Supports running Supply Droid Targeting Beacon, and Jareen in the Defender with the Anti-Starfighter Ion Missile. Meanwhile, on IG, we've got ourselves, 2 X-Wings, 2 Ys, and a U. Pretty standard right there. With Narcissus doing the targeting beam and targeting beacons, which is, Narcissus with that targeting beam tractor beam is pretty ridiculous. And then, of course, the X-Wings, Ion Torp, Ion Missile, and then Ion Missile, Conch Missile. So we'll see how it goes.
So I think this is definitely what we saw, or we saw very similar things in the loadout last time we saw in an Erie round, right, between Grey Squadron Tempest and Randalorians, choosing to go with a little bit lighter on the Creep Killer, a little bit heavier into the PvP, as that is usually the way one has to score their points in this opening phase. I don't know. I don't think we saw that Ion Torpedo go out onto the opposing Corvette in the opening salvo, right? I think that was saved for one of the frigates. So let's see what we end up with this time around.
Yeah, the big thing is, can both teams get their AI stacks right here pretty flawlessly, or is there going to be a fluke? And if it is, that's probably going to cost the opener, right?
We can
Checking
see
out
Jareen
these-
now come out.
These teams on the approach. Let's see how they play it out. Of course, 1 minute and 30 seconds to go. We don't see any II stacks being found or killed just yet, but it's about to happen. We do see Jareen ironing out the Corvette out there. Still, morale is at half and half. No stacks have been destroyed yet. Meanwhile, No Bear, though, getting nuked into destroy.
Oh,
player
no!
killed down. A 5v4. Can Splinter make up for this? Because it looks like IG's finding AI stacks as well. And there it goes! A Goliath on a stack of 5 pushes IG in New Republic. Or I know, on Splinter. I'm misspeaking.
It's-
Splinter.
Yeah, right. Out of all,
Yeah.
so out of all of that came out of that, right? The kill on No Bear, right? They still managed to find all of the AI stacks that they needed and win that opening phase, despite losing No Bear in the process. That is,
Impressive.
yeah. It does not look like. It looks like any news of Splinter Squadron's demise has been perhaps a bit too early.
speaking of which, I mean, if we look at the shields on both Charlie and Delta, just gone. I mean, meanwhile, the morale is slowly taking back towards IG, but the amount of damage that Splinter is doing out here right now with these ions, knocking down Charlie and Delta to nothing, shield-wise, is impressive. The big thing is, can they get down Charlie or Delta to an out-of-phaseable before this morale slowly goes back towards IG's favor? We do see Jareen trying to get a little bit of a aggro on the Y-Wings. It's not going to happen as they do lose their Raider, pushing it back towards Imperial Guard with no frigate cruiser out of phaseable.
Yeah, you know, I think it's interesting that, Splinter Squadron has almost always had an offensive ship, whether it's a TIE Defender or an X-Wing, right, equipped with those ion cannons, because that is part of their core strategy, right? And that's something we see different. I mean, for Splinter versus pretty much every other faction that's out there.
Yeah. We do see Han coming in, trying to get some aggro down on these bombers, as well as getting ions down on Delta. Delta shields have been drained. Charlie still stands. Morale is pretty much stuck, frozen in time in IG's favor. The longer they can keep this going, the better it will turn out. As we do see a rotation to the other Charlie as well to get some of the shields down on it, to get both shields down. Delta slowly losing hull damage. Charlie below half on shields as IG comes in and continues this assault.
Yeah, that Corvette is almost down. It is burning. It is on fire, but those cruisers are getting melted real quick here.
Meanwhile, you got players like Narcissus who got ion dunked there. You can see that on his shields on the side there. But due to the way that Narcissus flies in this game, very evasively was able to survive an ion dunk. Very impressive, to say the least. Of course, they've knocked down Delta. Only Charlie remains. A bit of shields. The shields are now gone. Only hull. The morale's at half and half. If they are able to get in there as a team, get down some cap ship damage, they should be able to get it out of phaseable. But it all depends. Two player kills, and so quickly go in the other favor.
And now, of course, all of IG is essentially centered around that Charlie frigate. So everybody knows where they are. The real question is, can they get to them? Can they harass them? Can they get them out of there fast enough to save that frigate? It is now down to just about half.
Yeah, a player kill, and it'll flip. One more AI and it'll flip, and that C is just not low enough to be out of phaseable. It's at 39, 38. Looks like IG has to go on the defense here, but they've got quite a bit to defend. C and D might have lost their shields, but C's hull is basically completely full. D will be lost this time. Looks like Raider is going Charlie. That's actually pretty advantageous for them. We'll see how it plays out, because they're going to be able to knock down Delta with ease and not have to worry about guarding their Raider across the map as it rotates over to Charlie.
Here we see Reflex just floating around this nebula on B, making sure to avoid fire as much as possible. You can see a ton of coordinates coming in now. A couple of Goliaths going out. It looks like C is now down. D is on its way as well.
Oh, yeah. C down, D almost completely nuked. We'll see how the team goes in and fills this out. We should see a cap ship assault, obviously, because the morale is very much in Splinter's hands at this moment.
It's actually just a really cool cinematic shot with the Raider just plowing straight through some of the debris from the back end of that Nebulon B. But yes, there, Reflex now coming back for a resupply there, getting out of Dodge, making sure that they have all the ordnance required to make that cap ship run. Oh, Fengar does get knocked out on the way back. All right, well, this is, at least as it stands right now, this is Splinter Squadron's game to decide. They need to take out this Nabi. Here we go. No Bear coming in hot. There it goes. And now can they get underneath that MC-75 in time?
Oh, yeah. They've got a decent amount of morale. It shouldn't be... I mean, they have time to regroup if they need to. We see No Bear just going straight in, all about that speed, momentum, tenacity. As he gets in, one shield has been disabled. No Bear was tractored. No Bear does fall. Meanwhile, Fencar coming in 2K away from the shield gen. Reflex coming in right on top of that shield gen. Boost in, boost to rotate, gets that rotary down, starts dumping. Cannot keep eyes on target, however.
Oh, and
Left
Reflex
shield down.
also goes down. Oh boy, Raider goes down. This is going to be a short phase on this MC-75 here. In fact, it is already over.
Bloodbath, left shield did fall, right shield is around half, was disabled but not finished, which is going to make it a bit difficult to get an immediate ion dunk on power next time it does flip, giving IG a little bit of a possibility here to bring this game back, right? They're going to knock down Delta. If they can get in, knock down both shields on the ISD, knock down power and get that hold down a lot, maybe even out of phaseable or engine parking. They could take this game back.
IG now, of course, taking the time to go back, resupply. See Hod still in a significant danger zone here with just a tiny bit of hull left on that X-Wing. It looks like that is the end of that Architon's frigate. It is now all about that ISD.
Yeah, we do see Hod dancing for his life out here with 3 hull half shields to the back. Rebase them, trying desperately to survive, maybe even playing a bit of a bait here as he's able to get back safely. Meanwhile, the rest of his team coming in, we do see Narcissus on top of that shield, dumping into it with only 9 hull left and a little bit of shields. Does die! Ooh, but then meanwhile, Dynasty also on top of the X-Wings. It's a non-stop bloodbath out here. Left shield almost down, right shield below half. Left shield does fall. The right shield, depending on which which spectator you're looking at.
Yeah, right. Both
left shield
shields
does
finally
fall.
down.
Dynasty trying to knock out Power. Power's at 62, 1 more rotation, and he should have it. Power does fall. 3 subsystems down on the ISD. Only targeting remains as the flip does happen. That hull at 61, not necessarily out of phaseable, but it's going to be a disaster if Splinter allows for the phase to flip again.
Boy, that is, I mean, they're still firing torpedoes. Hod is still all over this thing. Now this
maybe I'm
ISD
misspeaking because they've got it down to
36.
35, 34. We do see Dynasty parking behind the engines. Does die. Meanwhile, Hod back here as well. They're going for a pure base race. We'll see how it plays out, though, because, again, that starts at 33. The longer... I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
This is extremely risky territory here. Throwing any assets after that ISD rather than defending the MC-75. It is just a straight base race. They will see... Oh, there's one blister getting popped there.
Hod finding that weak point is huge. It's down to 12.
Oh, boy, is it going to be enough? The MC-75, of course, just getting melted. It's 7 versus... Holy smokes! Which one comes out on top?
Oh, I believe it's the MC-75.
Oh,
as Splinter takes game number 1. Oh my goodness. Being able to find... The thing is, I didn't know what was going to happen until we saw Hod find that weak point, right? I thought all weak points had been destroyed in the ISD, and all of a sudden, no siree. Whew.
Right, if they had even just one more of those weak points open on the ISD, it would have been absolutely game there, but either it wasn't there or they couldn't find it, and that was it, sealing the game. IG coming in with a ton of player kills across the board there. Splinter, of course, in their traditional, hey, listen, we don't need to kill stuff, we need to kill ships.
Oh, yeah, and I mean, look at Splinter with the AI. On Nadiri, right? 26 on 2 of their players. That's huge on a map like Nadiri where you just can't get AI in general, right? That's super efficient farming. And the game was close, right? But they were able to squeak it out.
Just barely.
Maybe closer than they wanted it to be, but
Probably,
still.
yeah, I think that's a good point.
A win
right?
is a win.
A win is a win, but that was definitely closer than Splinter was likely comfortable with there. And I think maybe that even goes to show you the difference in approaches both teams take to the game, right? If Splinter is going to practice somewhere, they're going to practice on finding where exactly these AI are at any point in time, right? So no matter what point of the game they are in, their focus is going to be AI over player kills. Whereas, I don't know, even for myself, I'm going to want to shoot people down. Like that's like there's a natural sort of instinct to go there. Not always the right decision.
Intense. As we're getting ready for game number 2, I'm not too sure what the map is. Do you remember what it is?
Oh,
R1?
I believe it is SLS.
Woo! Fun map. I know no one uses the inside of SLS, besides like some like weird maneuvers, but it is one of my favorite maps aesthetically.
I do agree that there's nothing better than loading in and just seeing that vast space station in front of you and seeing the fight sort of evolve over the top of it. It is, of course, one of the maps where the capital ships will close with each other as the frigates are destroyed on both sides, making that distance between the cap ships much shorter, as opposed to Nadiri, where they essentially, well, they don't move all that much, and they've got to shoot through the middle of the dockyards. But we will see. It looks like Imperial Guard is going to flip to the Imperial side.
As their name suggests.
So we'll see if the Imperial Guard and their namesake are able to pick up Game 2 versus Splinter Squadron here. Was there anything out of Splinter, despite the change in their lineup, that surprised you?
No, they played pretty Splinter, right?
And I think maybe that's even the key, right? Even with new folks rotating into the Splinters lineup, they played just like Splinter Squadron always did. So even with the addition of new folks or new talent, they were able to sort of keep their primary strategy going in the direction that they wanted to.
Which is nice to see, right? Because again, the slight reprieve from playing and practicing did have me a little concerned. But again, coming into this, showing just their pure strength, right? Right. Somebody said it a week or two ago, where it's like the thing with Squadrons is it comes down to like 80% game feel, 20% execution. And I think that Splinter is able to kind of show this is 100% true for Squadrons, right? They've got a really good game feel that does translate to a month later. And I know we speak of a month like it's like a year. It's not, but time flies quick.
Yeah,
in
no kidding, right?
Squadrons world.
And I think I think we've seen other teams adjust their strategy based on the players that sort of rotate in or rotate out, and just to try to take advantage of those innate like player strengths. Whereas I think even with Splinter Squadron here, it's been the opposite. Hey, this is how we play Squadrons. You need to try to tune your own capabilities to that overall strategy. And, I mean, we've only seen them from one game so far today. But it seems to be the right move rather than sort of that opposite approach.
Oh, yeah. Nice. Looks like the lobby is slowly getting filled up here. Again, the map's going to be S-less, as we said. We do see IG on the Galactic Empire. I'm wondering what the ships are going to be looking like. We do see Scalp Waka coming in on Splinter for this rotation. The name is going to be Washed.
Oh, really?
He self chose that. I'll be calling him Wash during this game. It's his choice.
It's very true. Okay, fair enough. We'll call him Washed here. I mean, if anything, the name will be on the screen, so it'll be hard for me to call it anybody else. But yeah, interesting change out there. The artist formerly known as Scalp Waka will be coming here and as Washed.
Ion Rain. Ion Dunks.
Yeah. Do you think we're going to see, I mean, contrary to even what I just said, right, where the Splinter in general doesn't change their approach depending on who's actually playing on it, and yet Scalp washed Scalp. Washed Scalp. It's maybe that's it. Maybe they're promoting some new hair product. I don't know. Maybe we can get uplinks input on that one. But I mean, they were the classic example of even flying a different ship. Maybe not overall strategy, but a different ship in the game, right? Just based on the different capabilities and control setups and their familiarity with it, right? We didn't see a bully TIE fighter in that last matchup, but yet we'll probably see one come along when Washed joins the match.
Yeah, I'm curious to see. We'll see if the PK will be able to be shut down. On the team for the roster, now that everybody's loaded in, we got Fenkar, Sculp is Washed, Jareen, Nobear, and Nop. And on IG, Kriegzilla, Hod, Narcissus, Minor 7th, and Dynasty again. So that will be the roster going into game number 2. We got a best of 5 semifinal number 1 today at the Calrissian Cup Summer Major, $2,000 prize pool. Both teams are in the running for good standings for the grand finals, right? R1?
Absolutely. So IUG, if I remember my standings correctly, they do not yet have a ticket to the Calrissian Cup finals, but they are one of the point leaders in the event so far. In fact, I want to say they are currently number 2, just behind our top seed from today, Cavern Angels Gold Squadron.
Nice.
So even if they are unable to land that golden ticket, if you will, to the finals event, they are more than likely still going to be in the running here just based on the Calrissian Cup points in our series so far.
Yeah, exciting to see how these teams will manifest and continue running up to the grand finals in October. Coming up sooner every single month. We've got, a major and a minor left, and then we're there.
Yeah, right. So I've got to count on my fingers, right? August, September, and oh, wait, yes, there it is.
The number that Val can't count to, 3.
It is indeed. So we've got, finally, here we go. We've got a push to a lobby here. A little bit of flexing from Nop.
Oh, a tomfoolery.
Tomfoolery, if you will. All right, so IG coming in. They're not staying with TIE fighters. They're just making our lives.
Hanging out, thinking through,
There we go. They're just making our lives harder for us. But that's okay. I mean, I guess somebody's got to do it. And we have a feeling, right, NAR they're probably figuring out, do they want to go full house, no support, or do they want that support ship in there? Of course, from the Splinter Squadron side of things, we do have Washed in an X-Wing here, so perhaps no need to change, no need to introduce the TIE Fighter into anything, because they're playing New Republic. Washed coming in with that X-Wing, Fenkar, Jareen, Nobear with the Dumbfire Goliath action, of course, as always, in the U-Wing.
Oh yeah, supply droid targeting beacon. Meanwhile, on IG, now that the loadouts are being a little more finalized, got -7 in the bomber with the multi-lock Goliath, Dynasty with the ion missile, Conk in the defender, Nar with the targeting beaconed ion torpedo, Hod with the defender APS ion missile, and Kriegzilla with the Goliath multi-lock in the bomber. So 2 bombers, 2 defenders, and a Reaper. Meanwhile, like we said, the 3 Ys, 1X, 1U on Splinter.
So did I hear that right? We have a Reaper with an ion torpedo loadout there?
Yeah, that is true. That is some dunking territory there. Looks like
Very
a little bit of a shift is happening on IG's side to anticipate this next game.
Yeah, just a little bit of a shift there, right? That does allow them some additional flexibility in taking down the opening CR-90's shields, while then also still having ordnance left over to hit the frigates on the way in should they win the flip. But of course, you still got to win the flip versus Splinter Squadron, who is possibly the best in the business at the opening coin toss. Let's see how they do here.
Yeah, on the approach, again, 1 minute and 52 seconds to go. We've got the teams lining up their dumbs. We do see Jareen, Fenkar, and No Bear lining up their shots here, getting out to their AI stacks. We do see Wash coming in straight over the top of Vesselus, looking for somebody to mess up. We do see him running right into the Raider to get an Ion off, getting within range. Does get off the Ion, knocks the shields off the Raider immediately. Meanwhile, the rest of the team, Jareen finding some AI stacks, getting an AI stack off. But IG finding stacks as well, keeping that morale at half and half. It might come down to who gets the Raider, who gets the Corvette first. As we see these teams continuing, we don't see a lot of PKs yet. But never say never, as Jareen with almost no shields, 19 hull left, getting found in the sky in that Y-Wing, but surviving. Never say never, he's dead. Rest in pieces.
So, did I read that screen right? Did we get some chaffs on those opening dumbfire Goliaths? Is that what happened?
We
there?
might have, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I was looking at some specs, but I mean, judging by the way the morale bar went, that is definitely a strong possibility here, right? As the morale is now back at half and half, 39 seconds to go.
Imperial
IG
Guard
taking a
pushing
slight
little bit.
lead.
Oh no, back the other way.
Yeah, this is quite a slugfest of an opener. IG almost won it, and then it went back towards the middle. Then Splinter had the advantage and went right back towards the middle again. Both teams refusing to lose this opener. Narcissus trying to get out a Y-Wing here. No Bear almost dead, just can't get eyes on target. A little more shots, but just can't make it happen. Morale's at half and half. We do see Splinter take a slight lead, but never say never as an AI stack is found. But another AI stack is found, 1 second to go. It's going to go to Splinter.
The Splinter in that opening phase, so just barely, maybe 65, 70% there on that morale bar. Not a great opening phase. But we've got Gnar and Kriegzilla both pretty heavily damaged. Oh, Gnar's in a tough spot here under the trying to get out. It looks like he is drifting around. Can they
surviving.
get out? Oh man, some expert maneuver from Narcissus there. Holy smokes, able to get the shield back on the Rebirth. And yes, everybody breaking contact with it. Now coming in on that cruiser. Oh, but Washed also goes down in the process.
We do see Washed Waka getting knocked out of the sky. Rest in pieces. They take down the shields on Delta. C shields still remain though. Problem is they're losing morale faster than they're getting down hull damage, which is going to mean this definitely isn't out of phaseable, unless, I never say never, it is Splinter. Can they pull it off? But again, AI stacks being found every about a second. We do see that +3 happening out here.
But they're just hammering the living daylights out of that Arctis cruiser, already down to just about a third. It very well may go down before this flip here, as we see it getting lit up.
Oh, it's definitely out of phaseable now.
Oh, man.
Yeah, they've done it. They've been able to drag that down as a team. One more AI, it'll go back, but of course that 15 points will slurry right back towards Splinter. There's the flip. We'll see the out of phase any second now.
There's the cruiser. Yep, 3 left, 2 left, and a kaboom.
Yeah, Washed Waka coming in and scrubbing out that Raider out of the sky. some sort of pun here. We'll find the puns, folks. Meanwhile, ioning the Raider, knocking down the shields on it, and then starting to dump into it as well. It has been Beacon trying to get the 20 points as soon as possible.
IG already got both shields down on both frigates almost completely. Lots of creep being found, though. Boy, they looks like maybe. Well, I'm almost certain they're going to end up getting C here. I have to imagine it's just
at 30, 24, or no, 30, 29, 27 now.
Oh yeah,
at 12, nuking these TIE bombers, doing damage. Miner 7th and Kriegzilla out here just dominating, knocking it down. There's the flip. They will get that 15 points, however, to be able to shorten Splinter's phase as well. Delta not in the out of phaseable, but Charlie 100%.
So the real question here now is, we've got just a bit of shields left on A. Can the Imperial Guard hold out and defend just long enough? Oh, and there's a good player kill on Fenkar, and a packet of AI also being found that puts him well. Holy smokes, lots of pressure now from AIs and player kill. Almost back to half even
Whoa,
more.
my
Whoa, what is going
goodness.
on?
That was the out
that
of
was
phase,
the
a little bit of delay.
Out of phase there, yes.
But still
Excellent.
able to combine that out of phase with some AI stacks and the kill on Fenkar.
Oh man, are they going to be able to push this before this light cruiser goes down? Oh man, and a kill on Washed there as well. Getting
Ooh.
washed out of the space above Esselis. And it
Washed out of his life. Now he's on the death clock. Coming back up though in 3 seconds.
But I think this is an aborted push on the capital ship here. They're gonna wait for the phase to flip.
No, they went for it.
Oh no!
They've knocked it down. It could be. Is Raider still up? Hold on, I don't have my mini map up.
Yeah,
That was
the
bad of
cruiser,
me.
the CR-90
Corvette
is
is still up. That
yeah.
passive damage was shut down. That frigate. Yeah, that is unfortunate. They weren't able to stop it because, of course, that's a neutral, right? They're not able to control that Corvette.
So the neutral, the CR-90 took down the Arcton's frigate before that phase flip. Perhaps even excellent timing from Imperial Guard, calling out, "Hey, don't kill another pack until that frigate goes down." Now we've got a full bar coming in on offense for the Imperial Guard versus that last Nebi that's just about half.
Yeah, the big question is, can they get down Delta quick enough? Can they protect their Raider on approach to avoid that 20-point dip? We do see Splinter revving it up on the AI, though, trying to desperately come back from their Corvette, knocking down that frigate out of control. The M75 push begins now with morale at half and half. How is the team holding up out here? We do see a bit of a regroup, though. Hod on top of that shield gen gets down to 89 in the defender, flying back and forth trying to get down. Right shield has been destroyed.
Oh,
Let's
and
see if
there's
they can
a
knock down
disable
left shield
miner
as well.
Oh no, that is 9 or 7th and Gnar both down. That is the end of that assault phase. Oh man, I don't want to say prematurely from Imperial Guard's standpoint, but they really got wrecked on that opening approach on the MC-75. It is now all about getting this ISD down in one attack phase.
Oh yeah, luckily for Splinter, IG only got down one shield, right? Which means that the next push is going to have a little bit of delay for passive damage, right? They have to get on the second shield before the Corvette Raider can do any sort of damage. Yeah, it all comes down to how this push goes, right? If they get it low enough to out of phase, they might be able to stop this next IG push. If not, it's going to be a little bit of a struggle. Fenkar getting tractored, getting some damage down, though, however. Yeah, at 82, starts to get nuked into. Does die. Morale's at half and half. Both shields have been disabled. Power is getting nuked into currently by Splinter. We do see Nop down there with the ions and Washed as well, knocking down Power.
But those shield gens still in some relatively decent shape here on the ISD. It looks like most of the defensive coverage has been topside on this ISD. And now they're putting a little bit of heat. There goes the left shield gen. Can they get right shield gen as well? It looks like they're going to end up doing it. Washed in there, scrubbing out that ISD shield generator. Now on to the last bits of hull, but that is it. The real question is, all right, now that ISD is in possibly danger territory, but possibly 36. Not.
It is quite a bit. It is a reverse of the first game as the Star Destroyer now at 34. We do see Fenkar behind engine parking on the ISD. But only Fenkar and Nop are alive. The rest of them are back at their MC-75 trying to race out there. Meanwhile, all of IG is up trying to get on that MC-75. We do see Miner 7 coming in to quickly take down that shield. It's down to 34. It looks like 14, actually. They need to get it down quick and soon. We do see... Oh, no, just a little bit of a miss angle. Can't get down that shield gen. It does fall. Both shields are down. Power and targeting do remain. They have to get it down quickly, though, as the ISD is slowly losing damage. We do see Miner 7 getting on that Power, starts dumping into it. We will see the weak points be created any second now. There goes Power, 3 points down on the MC-75. The hull will be quick to fall. Full morale bar. Can Splinter base race this out? or we see a reverse from game number 1.
Yeah, this is, it looks like rather than in game number 1 where there was sort of, they took the goalie out, right? IG now leaving some defenders back there because they know Splinter is on that full offense there. If they, I mean, when you do leave somebody back there, coupled with the defensive fire from the ISD, that's usually pretty successful here.
Ooh.
No AI is being found here. It is the ISD.
ISD at 19, MC75 also at around that 19 point. It's MC75 at 9.
It's
ISD.
anybody's game here. Holy smokes, what is going on? ISD down to 1, but is it enough? Oh no, it was left at 1 after that last assault. It is still up. It is not taking any passive damage. It just needs a
I don't know
flick.
who won.
It is the MC75 that goes down. Holy smokes. 1 whole point left on the ISD when that goalie took down, washed right at the end there. What a photo finish for that round. Holy smokes.
Yeah, I'm over here looking at my spectators trying to figure out the points on each one. I noticed that on the top bar, right, when the game's won, the round like health indicator vanishes, right? But it's like I don't know which one it was. So I'm like desperately looking, and both of them have like the visual effects of exploding everywhere. So it's like it's whoever actually got it first, because both of them were like in their explode cinematic. So, oh my goodness!
Holy smokes! So in that particular call, right? So the ISD was down just to about that 35-36 range when the phase flipped. The call was made by Splinter Squadron to full press, go in, ignore AI, and press down that ISD as much as you can. IG very smartly left defenders to tackle and ionize, and as soon as any defender is ionized, right, the ISD guns just light them up.
Oh yeah, that came down to like a Goliath, right? So like that's how close that was. So
well, I mean, right, or even just a single salvo of burst X-wing lasers, right? I mean, that's almost it for that ISD. Wash was literally back there firing into the back of it, launched a proton torpedo through a couple of bursts, and then was shot down just like moments away from victory from Splinter Squadron there. Whew. What a game.
Nice.
So, I guess after we're able to catch our breaths a little bit after round 2 there, IG and Splinter Squadron, of course, balance things out, take 1-1. I now have to look back over and, you know, dry myself off with a towel and figure out what's going on for this next one here.
I just oh man, just dab that right off my forehead.
Get the wet wipes out.
Absolutely mental. I just like it's like a kid in a candy shop. There's too much going on. Yeah, audience could probably tell as much as I could of what was going on those last like 10 seconds of like who's got the last few points. Oh my goodness, gonna get myself set up for the third game though, because again, this is a best of 5, and with both teams going 1-1, this is
it looks like we're gonna be in for the long haul here. So absolutely coming in on Fostar Haven next here. It is faction pick. We're waiting for that to show up. It does look like, well, I'm gonna guess. Well, maybe that was, you know what, that was a bad idea. In the first round, Tempest Squadron did end up taking the Empire side of things on Sisabo. We will see who has faction pick here for Fostar Haven. Boy. Whew. So we obviously couldn't see all of the details there, but Imperial Guard may have read Splinter Squadron's book. I mean, Splinter Squadron in pretty much every single opening phase, right? Since, I don't know, the very first Calrissian Cup event has been land and dumbfire Goliaths, right? Mm-hmm. And it has been a key to their opening phase strategy since then. And it looks like IG were ready for them. I mean, we didn't see, like, normally, right, we see Splinter Squadron, like, just in a huge wash. Mm-hmm. All three AI packs go down, the Goliaths take them out, and then they just need a player kill something else to put them over the edge, right? That did not happen.
I think the biggest difference that we saw between both teams is when the engine parking happened in game number 2, IG actually split up their DPS priorities, right? Mm-hmm, as you were saying before. Instead of having all 5 go to the MC75, then they slowed down their own advance to make sure they could slow down Splinters. And it was just enough just to squeak it. And I think maybe that call was... I mean, obviously that was the right call, right? As they were able to actually slow down enough. But I think that's like the one big difference, right?
No, and I think it's fair, as in, like, hey, that was the big difference between round 1 and round 2. Obviously, on Deary, you're not going to get a lot of the dumbfire Goliaths going off, right? It's not the place. It's not the place for him. Get out of here, right? But for Fostar Haven, right, you still got those same open lanes, at least in that initial phase, right, to get those Goliaths off. I have to imagine. You know what? I'm going to say this. I think IG is going to pull the same defensive maneuver they pulled last time, and I don't think we're going to see the same wash of morale that we normally see when Splinter Squadron opens the game. I think we're going to see them, instead of trying to line up their own dumbfire Goliaths, because maybe they're not as good at them, Splinter Squadron probably the best. It's a lot easier to fly over to an AI pack and chaff when you see a missile come in.
Or just shoot it down too, right?
Or just shoot it down.
Yeah, Goliaths are pretty slow. I mean, speaking of opening phase, though, to call that one out, too, while we're waiting for this lobby to get created, these opening phases have been just intense as well. I mean, that one literally went down to the whole 2 minutes. Mm-hmm. You know, I usually like to call them slugfest if they go past 1 minute. That was more than a slugfest.
that was more than a slugfest.
You're outside the bar, you know, you're some guy runs into you, and you're just all of a sudden, you're just like on the ground, and cops are going to get called eventually. But in that moment, those 2 minutes, that feels like everything, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely, right? And because that opening flip impacts so much in this in these competitive games so far, right? Whoever wins that opening, or how they win that opening, right, determines a lot. And so we even saw, right, in that last one, Splinter Squadron, they won the opening, right? But just by a little bit, right?
I believe so. Right? I don't want to misspeak.
Oh, man. We'll watch the tape. And I'm pretty sure it was Splinter Squadron they came out ahead, but because they didn't have that full morale bar, they weren't able to take care of it as well. So it looks like
it shortens their phase, right?
Yeah, and absolutely.
You know, teams have strategies and plans, right? And the strategies and plans sometimes have a time window in which they can be executed. And by having a botched coin flip opening phase, it ends up cutting into your margins of success and error going into that first assault phase, where sometimes if you cut it too close, you're not going to have the time window that you needed to get all the ships out there to get the ions down, and we saw that, right? These teams expect blowout openers, which makes sense, right? Because you go into it expecting to win, right? No one goes into it going, I'm going to lose today. And it's interesting to see how that teams have to like adapt around that, and how it turns into a back and forth in these phases, because it becomes a suboptimal game and things have to be shifted, right?
Yeah, no, actually, I thought that was extremely eloquent, right? In the way you pulled out, right? That all of these teams are expecting, right, those Goliaths to land. And when they don't, how many backup plans do they have to make it all work, right? I thought that was particularly well said. I do have to wonder what inspiration washed over you to give you such an insight.
Speaking of the rosters in game number 3, I don't see IG in the lobby yet, but I do see Splinter. We're going to have Jareen, Nop, No Bear, Fenkar, and Reflex. Again, Wash sitting out game number 3. But again, it's Splinter. Splinter is a combination of amazing players, not just one that leads a team, but it's a team effort with, Jareen, Nop, Fenkar, No Bear, Reflex, all being great players. we'll see how game number 3 goes. The map's going to be Fostar Haven, as you said.
Maybe even just to touch on that for a moment, right? I mean, we haven't seen any of their other games so far on broadcast here, but without reading too much into a trend of 3 data points, we're seeing Washed only come in when Splinter Squadron is playing New Republic. And that may very well be because they want to keep those defenders in on the Imperial when they are running the Imperial side of things, and TIE defenders just not Wash's cup of tea. So I think that's maybe even a good use of their expanded roster and their well-trained roster there. We will see what they're able to pull off
What's
here.
The Karate Kid quote? Just gotta
Haven.
have the that name. But yeah, no, I to your point, right? There's 3 data points. I wonder, you might have I think you hit the analysis there, because I was debating, right? Is it because Washed, as he's decided to be self-called this tourney, so I will call him Washed, plays less defender, and they know they want defenders in their comp right now? Or is it because, and I was sitting here wondering, is it just because they want an on-off to reduce stress of constantly going in and out of games, right?
It's a great question, and there might even be a few bits and pieces of truth in all of those statements. So far they've been more successful with Washed out of the picture, so maybe they'll be successful again on Fostar Haven as the Imperials here today. For round 3.
We do have IG loaded into the lobby, and it looks like the roster is going to be Kriegzilla, Hod, Minor 7th, Narcissist, and Dynasty.
Okay.
And the factions are going to be, again, Empire on Splinter, as you said, and IG taking New Republic into game number 3. It's a 1-1 in the semifinals, Calrissian Cup Summer Major, $2,000 prize pool. Thank you guys for joining. After this one, we've got ourselves Cavern Angels Gold and Randalorians. That'll be fun as well. Again, going to be a best of 5, as well as the finals are a best of 5 too. So
it's just we're just playing squadrons all day today. Like, hey, just grab yourselves a snack, settle in. We'll be here for as long as you'll be here. It's
grab
always
some carbs, get your blood sugar up so you don't fall over. We're all here for a good time, folks.
Do some squats in the middle of your
yeah, just don't drop the bar in the back of your neck and don't break your spine. We're all good.
We're all good. How are you? Doreen, Nop, No Bear, Fenkar, and Reflex, of course, on Splinter Squadron, going with their classic 3-wide bomber loadout there. Doreen, of course, in the Ion assault ship, as it were, right? So essentially no player killers on the Splinter side of things. And we've got 2 X-Wings, 2 Y-Wings, and Narcissist in the U-Wing, and I'm pretty sure I again saw a tractor beam targeting beacons there.
We'll see how it runs
What's
out.
up with the tractor beam these days?
So, Narcissist and the tractor beam, quite a threat for teams. He's very good with it. Very good with it. We do see a lot of kills as he's able to squeak them out, become the murder machine. Of course, not himself, but communication, right? 20% execution, 80% game feel. Able to game feel out when somebody's too deep. Find that tractor beam that has execution to it, but a lot of it is also communication with your team. Like, hey, it's dunking season. Let's go Space Jam,
Right. Being able to even give that insight ahead of time. Hey, I'm coming in on so-and-so. I'm going to have them tractored in 3, 2, 1, and then everybody focus fire on that target when they've been tractored. That requires a lot of coordination, but if you can pull it off,
people
worth
assumed for a while, tractors can be zero throttled out. That is true, but even zero throttling out is still a slowed movement, right? And it's still dunkable. It's maybe not as dunkable as the devs might have initially wanted it to be due to throttle, mechanics in the game not being like exactly maybe as intended, but it's still usable. and players can still find a way, and we see it with Narcissus Tractor Beam. But again, game number 3, IG at 1, Splinter at 1, going into Fostar Haven. We'll see how these teams play it out.
All right, now let's, I think we're both going to be on the lookout here to see if that triple Goliath is either going to be sent out or even countered. You know, if it is constantly countered, then obviously you're going to want to change up. You're going to want to hold back on that Goliath. You're not going to want to dump fire it away. You're going to save that ordnance. But there we go.
We do see Hod trying to knock down a Goliath out of the sky. Gets that Goliath knocked down. Shuts down that AI stack attempt there. Right, again, calling it out. Shutting down these Goliaths by Chap or by Ion is huge. Keeping that morale at almost half and half. Finding some kills, though. No Bear knocked out of the sky. Corvette has been beaconed. The shield's lost at 74 left. If they can rotate to it quickly, that'll be 20 points that they can use to just cause this flip.
Oh,
though they
man,
get the flip
look
anyway.
at that flip. Holy smokes.
Narcissus getting Ion dunk, but not getting killed. Being able to get those shields back. Again, big thing there, right? Hod was able to shoot those Goliaths out of the sky, and I was just watching one player. We saw none of the Goliaths hit for Splinter as that morale bar sat at half and half.
And I think we even saw Krieg sort of sneak in a dumbfire Goliath of his own. I don't know if Splinter was in a position to counter that as well. So, in fact, but there it is. Imperial Guard, at least here on Fostar Haven, has been able to read Splinter Squadron's book. They knew what to expect and were able to counter it, and now are taking advantage of it here in this opening offensive phase. Just ripping this Arkansas Cruiser apart.
It's pushing expectations, right? You expect your enemy team to be going for dumbfires, and like you as a player expect to get those 3 stacks. What happens when you don't get those 3 stacks? All of a sudden you're scrambling and you lose the opening phase. It makes sense, right? Because that's what they've trained against. That's what they've practiced against. Most players end up doing that and end up not trying to shoot down the Goliaths. But we see some dedicated countermeasures going out here, and it's coming back in strobes. Though I say that, and that phase flip was relatively quick.
Yeah, wow, it was faster than I think we were just talking about the opening phase still, and the first offensive phase was already over. Imperial Guard being pushed back relatively quickly. Did I see an Architans actually go down there? I think it was pretty hurt.
Ooh. We've got a little bit of an issue on our monitor, though. We're back into it. We can see what's going on. I'll give you guys a little bit of a heads up on what's going on. The morale's at half and half. Shield have been knocked down on both A and B. A's hull is around like 60%. B's hull hasn't been touched too bad yet, as they're trying to defend as best as they can. Fenkar pretty weak. Reflex pretty weak, but surviving. Again, trying to get down both Charlie and Delta, 2 out of phaseable. We do see some solid AI packs being found. A player kill does happen. Fenkar does fall. Continual damage coming down on this Nebulon. Nebulon's now down to 24 hull. That's Delta. But they do lose the flip, and it goes back towards IG. But one of these Nebulons is definitely out of phaseable. We'll see it in 5, 4, 3, 2, and about 1. There it goes. 15 points back towards Splinter against IG. As now they only have Delta to take out, as Charlie was knocked out of the sky.
All right, well, now we've got IG back on offense here, trying to take down the shields. There they go on D. It is now just trying to chew through the hull that's left there, while also trying to harass some of these. Oh, looks like they're focusing on No Bear there. They do get one of the Splinter Squadron's AI killers there. That is going to lengthen this assault phase for them. Can they get back to D and get enough ordnance in it to push on to the ISD?
It's a good question. As the morale's at half and half, we do see some very efficient plays coming out from Splinter on their defense. But with Fenkar knocked out of the sky, No Bear was knocked out as well. It does slow things down. Delta looking very tasty. They're probably going to, well, it's at 30.
Yeah, they're definitely pushing through that last little bit. If anything, the CR90 will do it for them. And the CR90 also may be about to go down here.
Yeah, we do see that Corvette very weak, but here comes in hot on the nose of the ISD, trying to get into a possible shield disable, lines up, gets down to Y-Wing with him as well, starts dumping into that shield. No disable, just pure damage. He's down to 7-2. No, 7. I don't want to misspeak. Does not knock it down, but one more rotation in. He'll get in there. Left shield has been destroyed. Right shield down to 91. Can they knock it down before the morale flips?
Really strong here on this capital ship assault phase. Just hammering these shields. It does go. Looks like right as the... Oh no, they fight back just a little bit with a kill on Nobear, extending the phase. They might even be able to get power out of this as well.
We do see Hod dumping into a beacon to target and getting you down to 43. Well, no, it still has a little bit. There we go. 3 more left. Oh, that was close. Targeting is going to be knocked out of the sky.
Oh, man.
All 4 subsystems are gone on the Imperial Star Destroyer. Meanwhile, IG still has one of its frigates and all of its subs on the MC-75. Splinter's in a do-or-die situation here to knock out C, to get in there and to just obliterate the MC-75. So if they let this go back on offense, it's not going to be a pretty sight for Splinter.
Getting a couple of good player kills as IG tries to pull back from that very successful ISD run. And now Splinter Squadron hammering Charlie. That'll get them just a full bar before we go into that MC-75 attack phase here.
We will see Nop coming in, trying to get those beacons. Beacons have been fired on the MC-75. The bombers are trying to get in there to get some damage down. We do see Fenkar on top of the shield, rotoring into it. Gets it down to 73. These shields have not fallen yet, though. Right's getting disabled, left's getting nuked. Left is almost down, has not been destroyed just yet, though. As they're losing morale by the second, trying to get in there, trying to confirm these subs, and not confirming any of them.
Yeah, no confirming there. And Fenkar and Nobear both getting taken out. They're just...
Jareen desperately doing ion runs on these shields to no avail. Does get knocked out of the sky. Nop is still in there deep on the MC-75. Gets a weak point. Does get knocked out, though. Nobear back at base. Fenkar back at base. Reflex going back to the ISD as now they've got a weird spot. The MC-75, 100% not out of faceable.
Yeah. And the Star Destroyer down to only 53 here. And all of IG coming in hot. A very weakened Star Destroyer. There's a blister. There's some more blisters. This ISD is not long for this world.
We do see down to 3, down to 2, down to 1. It does fall. IG up 2-1 against Splinter Squadron going into game number 4 of the first semifinals here in the Calrissian Cup Summer Major.
Ooh, boy. I think this is one of the first times we've seen Splinter Squadron on their back foot like this.
It's been a while. It's been a long while. Last time we saw this was versus Avenger Squadron.
Right.
It's to name call that. It's been a while, folks. Looking at the scoreboard, though, 40K on Miner, 61K on Krieg, 26 AI on Reflex, 29 on Fenkar. Again, IG clapping back, getting up 2-1 in this best of 5. If they win the next game, they go on to the grand finals of this summer major. But again, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, boy, if there was a time you could use the well, I guess the term predicted in squadrons, this would be it. IG, I think, handled Splinter Squadron's opening strategy extremely well and threw a little bit of their own into the mix that Splinter was maybe not expecting, right? I think we saw it on this camera here just for a bit. Kriegzilla snuck in, fired their own dumbfire Goliath, then raced off to try to continue on their AI farming, while also shooting down essentially all of the incoming dumbfire Goliaths from Splinter Squadron, which just set IG up for success. I don't think Splinter is in that same defensive mode where they're, oh no, I need to worry about defending against these dumbfires. We're just going to fire them and burn things down as fast as we can. I'm honestly even kind of glad we've got this mix, right? Like, it's no longer just a, hey, who can hit these missiles as best as they can? There's actually some counterplay to it.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
No, it's the next evolution and iteration of the coin flip, right? It's you've got what's, I'm gonna butcher the way people explain like meta is like discovery, optimization, and then like a meta break, right? So we had our optimization, which is, you know, going around figuring out where the AI are, figuring out where dumbfires are. We have our or that's discovery. Then the optimization is how to get to them the quickest, how to knock them out. And then the meta play comes in where it's, okay, we've all figured this out. You know, how do we abuse this expected understanding of the opening of the game to try to bring it back towards the percentage odds that we win it. And we're seeing that right now with active thought going to knocking down the Goliaths versus going for like pure damage on like focusing out like support on a player kill or something.
Right, like rather than just trying to do it better and faster, are there counterplays that we can bring to the table that allow us to, well, essentially do them better? Now, granted, if nobody's firing a dumbfire Goliath, well, standing around and doing nothing while you wait for it isn't also a productive use of your time, right? So there's almost, if you still want to say, there's still a rock, paper, scissors to it at the end of the day. You're not going to be able to, like, if you're only expecting a Goliath and you don't see it, there's even that lingering anticipation where you're going to hold in that defensive like position longer instead of doing something that's actively contributing to your team, right? So if they don't play into that hand, well, you're just kind of stuck holding the bag, right? It's I like it. It's interesting. It's super cool that we get to bring that interplay to you, our shining audience here today on the Calrissian Cup Summer Major event. Everybody playing for $2,000 today. And we are just through match number 3 and our first semi-final match between Splinter Squadron and Imperial Guard. Imperial Guard, of course, up 2-1 versus our already have a golden ticket to the final, Splinter Squadron. So we'll see if Splinter Squadron can come back in this round or if IG will take it all the way.
Yeah. Of course, I mean, IG probably smelling blood in the water, knows that if they can squeak one more out, they have a buffer here, right? They have a buffer for a mistake. Of course, no one wants to have to use that buffer, but it does give people confidence, right? To bring things back to the dumb analogy, because this has been on my mind, it's like when you've got the bar above you and a lot of weight, right? If you're confident you can do it, you'll probably do it better than if you were like, oh, I might not be able to do this, all right? Oh, mind games. All about
absolutely.
Mental zone.
So speaking of mind games, it does look like we've got some folks restarting PCs, etc. here. It looks like we do know what the map selection will be here, and it will in fact be Galatan. We know there is a little bit of AI pathing issue on here, right? That if I remember correctly, the New Republic has a distinct advantage in this one here.
I'd say so.
And I want to say Splinter Squadron will have the New Republic side of things. So that may be the way things go here. That may be the way that Splinter Squadron takes themselves back into this match and evens the standings.
Yeah, I'm excited to see. I don't know who's going to win this. I don't know.
I mean, if you did, that would be pretty cool. We might have to talk lottery numbers later, but you're absolutely right. Get those diamond hands. I mean, right now we are seeing some very strong back and forth between IG and Splinter, right? I mean, I think that's in essence your point there, right? Imperial Guard has clearly been practicing against Splinter Squadron's tactics, maybe even specifically, in that they know, ooh, the faction pick landed the other way, and it may have even been, I can't remember. I'll be honest, I don't know the pick order myself. But Splinter Squadron is coming in as the Empire side of things for this map. So that is going to put them a little bit on the back foot even further versus Imperial Guard as New Republic on Galatan.
Never say never. I'm curious to see what they do. Again, Splinter's a team that's adapted in the past. I'm sure they can adapt again.
You know what? And you're right. Who knows? They may have even figured something out about Galatan that I don't know. I mean, heck, I'm not doing any of these research studies myself. I don't know what I'm doing. I just like to fly around and go pew, pew, pew. And hey, that's it. I've done it. Shiny lasers go boom. But here on Galatan for round 4, we are getting everybody up and running here.
Ooh. Yes, sir. Looks like we've got a little bit of a technical issue on some of the teams. That's fine. That happens. We're just hanging out until they get it through.
We're just a couple of casters just hanging out, having a good time, talking about Star Wars. You know, hey,
Star Wars. I'm walking here. Hey.
So, rather than get through the depths of our impersonation capabilities,
mine's not good.
It's not great. When we get into Galatan here, right? Do we expect Splinter Squadron to actually change what they're doing, right? Like, it was heavily countered on Esselis, and it was even turned against them, I would say, on Fostar Haven in the opening phase, right? So the real question is, does Splinter Squadron adapt? Do they do that, like as you mentioned, that gameplay feel? Do they use that to their advantage and say, okay, we're actually going to institute plan, I don't know, they might even be on plan F by now because maybe nobody's countered their Goliaths before. I don't know.
I think the smart thing for them to do would be don't expect your Goliaths to hit. In fact, maybe this is a bad move. I don't know. Just mix it up because obviously it's become predictable. And when it becomes predictable, it becomes counterable. So I'd like to see in the beginning of this game to see if they're going to, yeah, you're right, just like do the same thing the third time and or the fourth time that is, and fire the dumbfires at max range, or maybe they'll try to mix it up and maybe they'll fly as close as possible, do a drift, get the Goliath, and like get it at a weird angle that's not just like straight on, super findable, right? Or multi-locks, right? That's not, you can't shoot down multi-locks. Yeah, I'm curious to see.
Yeah, I think this is now we are into especially uncharted territory now, right? It was relatively uncharted territory in on round 1, where the standard tactic that Splinter Squadron uses to dominate the opening phase for every event until now has now not worked, and somebody's actively countering it. Do you adjust, or is there even the flexibility available to adjust and say this is what we're going to do now?
Yeah, I guess we'll find out. I don't know. We do see a bit of a lineup change, though. Not all of Splinter is in, but 3 of them are in, and one is one we haven't seen today yet on stream. That's the one, the only McClunky coming in on Splinter with Jareen and Nop as well. Fankar coming in. We got one more slot on Splinter. Who's it gonna be? I don't know. We'll find out. It's gonna be Reflex. So we got ourselves Jareen, Nop, McClunky, Fenkar, and Reflex on Splinter. And on IG, pretty straightforward. Narcissus, Kriegzilla, Miner, 7th Dynasty, and Hod. So a lot of rotation on Splinter. We'll see how McClunky holds up on Galatan on Empire.
Yeah. I mean, we clearly didn't see Washed show up as the Imperial, or on the Imperial side of things for Splinter Squadron at Fostar. We are not seeing them back again here on Galatan. We are if maybe the strategy not being changed up, certainly the players in the match are being changed up in an effort to adjust for this strategy from Imperial Guard here.
We do see the DPS heavy 3 bomber Goliath multi-lock. That's to be expected. I'm curious on how they're going to use them.
Yeah, right. That's the big question. I mean, it is exactly as we expect out of Splinter Squadron there, right? Doreen's still in, more than likely in. I didn't even see it, but I'm gonna guess he's still running ions on that X-wing.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Now it's a matter of, okay, well, what does IG want to do? And it looks like they're going to end up with 2 Y-wings, 2 X-wings, and the ever popular support.
Yeah, the big difference between their 2 X's are right. The HOD has double ion burst reinforced ray shield. Dynasty is running burst ion conch dampener. You see this change. You see this mix up on their Y-wings as well. So their Y-wings are Goliath multi-lock, right? That's pure DPS city. But the big difference between the two is that Krieg has dampener rotary, Miner has standard reinforced, and that changes the way that those two end up being played. There's a little more of a specificity going on there. Of course, on the ships, in squadrons, there's a bit of player style, too, that comes in. But it's interesting to see how the team has divided their role ships into both dampener and reinforced, as they both have their place in the game.
Yeah, very interesting there. Very interesting. So we've got now... You know what? I don't think I've ever taken a look at the actual planet of Galatan.
You know, I have not until now, too, and now I can't unsee it. It's a big circle.
That is a gorgeous blue planet down below all of these asteroids here. Wow. It's, that's
sure is pretty.
That's really wild. That sure is pretty.
Well, yeah, because you can't see it from this angle, right? You just see clouds.
And you know what? I'm sorry. I actually think I was... When I said that the New Republic was advantaged on Galatan, I was definitely thinking of Xavian Abyss, which of course is not
Oh, yeah,
in,
with the AI 3
which
to 5.
is not in here. Boy, that's bleh. Galatan, of course, the one with all the chicken nuggies, that's not the same thing. But we'll see what Splinter Squadron and Imperial Guard are able to do here in round 4 of our best of 5 semifinals match.
Well, let's see what's going on here. Morale's at half and half. 1 minute, 30 seconds to go. We do see Splinter able to get those Goliaths off, get those AI picks, but then all of a sudden we do see Ha taking out Reflex out of the sky, getting that morale to go back in their favor. But back and forth it goes, half and half again. These have turned into slugfest. I don't know who's going to win them, as it almost goes to a win for one side. The other side comes out of nowhere and goes, pop, not today. As we see half and half, 1 minute and 8 seconds to go.
Oh man, we're back to a just slight advantage from Imperial Guard, most likely based off of that early player kill that they had.
Oh now yeah, McClunky getting knocked out of the sky, chaffed the ion, but couldn't chaff the lasers. Oh no, a few more AI and it'll go to IG, but IG gets a player kill on Fenkar, pushing the opening phase in their favor. Full morale bar on Galatan. We do see HOD immediately getting out of that, getting within range for ions. Dumps the ions on Delta, knocks it out of the sky in the first 15 seconds of this first assault phase. Solid play.
Kriegzilla coming back for a quick resupply before heading back into their assault mode here. Splinter Squadron trying to find those AI packs here. D, of course, shields are down completely. Minus 7's now pouring damage into there, down to about 80% on that light cruiser. Shields on C, not moving a whole lot there, but plenty of fire coming in on there. All right, lots of ordnance. Woo!
Solid beacons coming out of Narcissus, too, to shut down these bombers on defense. We do see pretty consistent damage. A lot of chaps being baited with ions. Trying to shut it down as quickly as possible, but they're losing their morale by the second. We do see HOD getting ion, getting down to 60, 58 hull, but able to live. D is definitely out of phaseable now. Can they get down Charlie's shields in these few seconds that they have? A few ions knocked on it would be good. There goes the flip. We'll see the 15 points in a second. We see HOD immediately there. 2-1. It does fall 15 points, but gets negated by a player death from HOD himself, limiting the use of that out of phase, as now the morale bar is almost back at full.
All right, Raider now coming in hot on these Nebulon B frigates along with the rest of Splinter Squadron. A couple of IG out of action here, either due to player kill or a bit of line change. And we can see McClunky just dancing around. Oh, but gets Ion in the process. Able to recover there, not lose a ton of health. Down to 61, but still dancing around that, that Nebulon B like there is no tomorrow. Excellent maneuver there, flying straight past there. Ow! Whoa!
C shields have been drained. The hull's below a half. D shields have been drained. The hull is full. The morale sitting at a stop still as C just gets drained into.
Yeah, there's no.
Splinter
It is interesting
dominating.
here. Nothing coming out of the AI farming for Imperial Guard here. Finally, now getting it down to about half. Splinter Squadron might even be able to get both of these Nebulon Bs on the flip here. They are getting
100%.
dangerously close to out of phasable for both.
IG knocks down that Corvette, but they still have to get 2 player kills and a little bit of AI or an AI stack to be able to stop this onslaught. Meanwhile, A gets tastier and tastier by the second, surrounded by these chicken nuggets. They want the chicken tender. They want it. There goes the flip. One of those is definitely going to be quickly out of phase. The question is the second one going to be as well. We do see McClunky rotoring into a Nebulon at 14. We'll most likely get both, actually, because that, I believe that's the weaker of the two, or the stronger of the two. F4 now, getting it knocked down. Out of the sky, there goes 15 points.
But I mean, McClunky down to 2 health, getting a little bit of repair there. But are they going to fly over to the other and snag that as well? Meanwhile, IG is already, well into the damage on the Architect's D here, just ripping it apart.
Oh, 100%. On the minimap, we do see one of Splinter on that Nebulon flying around the nose of it, trying to knock it out of the sky.
That may have been it right there. So
100%.
that is going to shorten this Star Destroyer assault by a lot.
By pretty much all. But never say never. Capitalize on this window that you have. Kriegzilla flying in, loses all shields, though has been beaconed. Can he get in to get a little bit of damage on the shield? Starts dumping into it. Too little, too late. He is down.
For minor 7th as well. Drifting, flipping, gonna maybe survive. No, down as well.
Everybody dead but Narcissist.
This is
a travesty
not
out
looking
here.
Good for IG. Absolutely, everybody is in the hangar getting new ships while Splinter Squadron is reforming and quickly approaching that MC-75. They are flying with a purpose here, coming in hot on that MC-75. Oh, but Reflex somehow got taken out on the way in there. I'm not even quite sure where that happened. We do see the left shield generator was disabled. Pouring now some damage into the right shield generator.
Oh, yeah. Comes in the team. Left shield has been destroyed. Right shield is on the attempt to get disabled. There it goes. Power has been destroyed. 2 subsystems down on the MC-75. The morale is slowly going towards IG's favor, but that's a slow dance backwards. We will see how they play it out, but it's over the halfway point as players are dying. McClunky is down, Fenkar is down, but the damage just keeps on coming. MC-75 still above half, now at 54, 53, and falling.
Jareen just fruitlessly firing ion cannons into a weak point on that MC-75, trying to throw whatever they can, not gonna do it.
Not finding 2 of the 5 weak points. But the shields have been re-enabled on the MC-75 as Nop does fall.
Yeah.
Because again, one of them is still up. That MC-75 is definitely at 34. It's a struggle out of phase. The only problem is that it still has a shield
generator, though. Yeah, right. It did not get taken out. The right shield gen. Maybe a miscommunication on Splinter Squadron's part. I mean, Jareen was just firing away into the hull or weak points with that ion cannon rather than trying to hit the shield generator there. And now IG coming in hot on This ISD.
It looks like the team knows it too, because as you can see players like McClunky going for the Corvette right now, instead of going for like an out of phase, because they know, I mean, I've seen it in other teams, other games too, you don't knock down both those shields, it almost becomes a fruitless out of phase if you're desperately trying to just like put an ion into the MC75 shields, and you don't have any time because the DPS from the MC75 will just kill you.
Right.
Of course, this solid defense though, because the ISD just, I mean, it's falling, but the morale is just falling quicker. We do see minor
so
7 lining up for an engine part,
It might be a bit of a race then. Oh, I don't know.
Well, never say never, because there, I believe it goes. The ISD fallen. We do see IG 3-1ing Splinter in this semifinal, pushing themselves into the grand finals of this summer major.
Whoo-wee. Oh man, excellent there. I don't know what else to say other than Patton clearly read the washed out book of Splinter Squadron there, countering them in a lot of ways. I certainly didn't expect. I don't think Splinter Squadron expected in a lot of ways.
No, I don't. I think that name had some irony, and maybe it fell a little flat. As somebody in the production chat says, it's a big flip. We call this an IHOP because we flip it all day, folks. IG go into the grand finals. Who are they going to fight, though, is the big question coming up. Cavern Angels Gold, Randalorians, semifinal number 2. We'll have to see.
Another extremely hot matchup here. Cavern Angels Gold, of course, having their own hot games over the past. Randalorians always strong. They're also coming in hot here. Boy, well, I could tell you, we're going to be here for the next couple matches. I hope everybody else stays tuned for what we've got in store.
And we'll see you guys in a little bit. Gonna take a little bit of break here, and we'll come back with some Cavern Angels Gold Randalorian semifinal number 2. Again, this is the Cal Cup Summer Major $2,000 prize pool brought to you by TGS.